All right, hello everyone. Welcome to another best ball stream. Today we're going to be diving into good old DraftKings. Let's see if the old adage of DraftKings on the weekends. Friday is kind of a weekend. Let's see if we can get some softer drafters here. Other than the usual, sweats, the weekday sweats. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Let's see where we're at in our tally here. Completed 47, so we're getting close to 50. Getting close to about a third of the way done with our drafting on DraftKings. I think the plan this year is going to be to early, kind of early-ish max, the 20 million millionaire contest. And then we'll kind of shift gears end of July, early August into more of the higher stakes, like the Monster Millionaire and the Big Dog on Underdog. So might do one or two kind of earlier on the high stakes stuff, but gonna focus this time of year on the more top heavy contests. So let's dive in here. All right, already almost a full room for us. That's nice to see here. Hopefully some people getting off work early, already at the bar, maybe on their phone, doing their first draft. I think the last time I streamed, the big news of the day was the Rashi Rice situation, so not a whole lot since then. I guess the biggest news I've seen the last couple of days would be Malik Neighbors, kind of maybe some not great news, but also could just be coach speak. Who knows? But it sounds like he maybe is not as far along as we might have hoped, as like an early second round pick. So we'll see. I haven't really seen him drop too much. I haven't seen him drop to the third round or anything like that yet. Would be definitely interested in him there. But there's a lot of injury situations. Quinshon Judkins, I saw some video of him looking pretty spry. Earlier than expected, I guess, but we'll see. Also, Deshaun Watson. I don't know if you guys have seen his couple throws he's been making in the OTAs. Looks pretty sharp, honestly. So I have drafted him a few times, late on DraftKings, also late on Underdog. So I think a lot of people just hate Cleveland and the Jets every year, but they are the two teams that definitely added the most talent in the offseason, with just lots of early draft capital on tight ends, receivers. Both those teams did, so definitely buying both situations. You guys know I draft a lot of Jets, a lot of late Cleveland guys, so definitely gonna have interest in Geno and Watson at the end of drafts. All right, so we're one person away here. Bunch of names I don't recognize, so I feel like it's rare though I ever do recognize someone on DraftKings. Pretty every draft feels pretty random, which is nice. Sometimes on Underdog you can kind of feel like you're drafting against the same people over and over again, especially when kind of being an early morning drafter during the week typically. So all right, we draw the 7 hole. So I've been enjoying doing the earlier Jefferson lately, and then grabbing a Jet here at 31. Seems to not be Breece Hall anymore, but fine to grab Garrett Wilson here as well. So we'll keep an eye out if I want to do that. Been doing that. I guess I've been doing that instead of Jonathan Taylor at 7. Just kind of a little wary of the Colts prices right now. I guess we'll see if Daniel Jones, kind of how his offseason looks, because they don't look great on paper. They lost Pittman, obviously, and I'm a big Tyler Warren guy, but just not a lot of weapons on that offense. And also, the playoff schedule for them isn't that enticing either. I guess Cincinnati week 16 is a nice spot, but at Cleveland, not the most ideal week 17 landing spot for them. So, and I know I've spoken before about not really loving Kyler Murray or JJ McCarthy, but Jefferson's really good. And if he is he has another kind of down season where he, isn't a big advance piece, there's not really, there's no better guy to have week 17 as a low advancing player than Justin Jefferson against the Jets. So even if I take a hit, or if you take a hit, with your advance rates on a down season maybe from Jefferson, definitely a guy you want to squeak through, or try to squeak through, have as many shots as possible to squeak through into week 17. Or maybe he just has a monster year and I'm wrong about Kyler Murray. But also, I'm a big Jaden Daniels drafter, so Jaden Daniels and the Jets, so Minnesota does play Washington week 16, Jets week 17, so just kind of fits all my builds right now. Jefferson. We'll see. Do you see him go at 6 sometimes? But I already have a good amount of, JT at 7, so don't want to do the same thing every time. I think the top 5 is pretty locked. Fine to just take those guys in order, but I think once you get here, obviously CMC I think is a pretty good 6th pick, but we'll see what Elvis wants to do here. He grabs JT. All right. So, yeah, I'm just going to grab CMC. It's hard not to envision CMC being live as the running back 1 overall if he stays healthy, just like Gibbs or Robinson. The concerns I've voiced about the Indianapolis kind of situation and playoff schedule is just simply not there with CMC. I think San Francisco drew a nice schedule, and one of my favorite kind of 8th, 9th round quarterbacks is definitely Brock Purdy. So obviously fits in well with the CMC spot because this guy just all he does is get targets as a running back, and that's, especially on DraftKings, what you want. So Fat Matt grabs Jefferson. We'll see if he does a little Jets bring back in round 3. Right now I feel like round 3 I'm just grabbing Breece Hall wherever I'm drafting. I know early on we saw him sometimes fall to this 30 range, but I just did a draft at 3 this morning on Underdog where I took him at 27. Hard to see him not kind of rising into this late 1st window, or I'm sorry, late 2nd window. Especially on DraftKings. Similar to CMC, just really good player, a lot of targets. Also, another guy that I'm targeting kind of in this 6th round besides Jane Daniels is, or even sometimes he falls to 79, but Jalen Hurts. I do like the cost on him right now. So Also fits CMC up with week 17 correlation there, so see what we can get here. I've seen Chase Brown kind of, seems like he's kind of rising up boards. Drake London too. Spoke about that, seeing London. The Rossi Rice news, definitely going to see London kind of go earlier in the second than later. Alright, so I was going to say I was probably going to take Bowers here. He goes to Fat Matt. So if that happens, I will go ahead and just grab Kenneth Walker here. 18 I think is a really good spot for him. Brings another kind of 8th, 9th round quarterback into play for us. You know, we have Purdy. We have Mahomes kind of falling as well. So, I mean, I think on DraftKings he typically goes earlier, but I did get him this morning on Underdog. I think like 103 or 99, 94-ish. Do like that cost on him, but I do believe his ADP is slightly higher. Yeah, 87, so a little higher on DraftKings. Wow, so we got an early Javonte, 22. Do like Javonte over here, but 22 is a little rich for him. But maybe he wants Neighbors at 27. I don't know, but I guess I would just take Neighbors first if that was the case. So we got Milky Wiki grabbing the Pickens Neighbors. I think that's a good 2-3 correlation to start with when you have Gibbs. Nice start for him. We have Rice at 28 to Dreed. Probably grab Devonta Smith here if he's there. Just for set up a little San Francisco Philly. So Kyron, Love is sliding a bit too. Seems like he's kind of going more mid-ish third now versus late second. We'll grab Devonta Smith. See if Fat Matt wants to do a Jets and grab Garrett Wilson. Grabs AJ Brown. Seems like a good spot for AJ. He's been kind of gravitating more towards this later third area as well. Still think he seems like the reports I'm seeing that he is going to be pretty much a done deal to New England, but it's always that chance that something falls through, or, you know, I've seen Jaguars, Rams, interest. Who knows if the Chiefs have any interest in any of these guys. Probably more of a free agent, maybe like a Diggs or somebody, Debo, but you never know. I think the whole Kayshon Boutte aspect is kind of interesting. I know I drafted like a naked Hurts a couple drafts ago and grabbed Boutte kind of towards the end, just maybe as a return piece, you know, in that AJ Brown trade. I think that's kind of sharp to do because he's not even practicing with the team right now with the Patriots. So I don't know why you would do that unless you know you were told by your team that you're, you know, going to be traded or just not part of their plans. So it just seems like a natural piece to go back in the Philly trade, but we'll see. He had a good year. I mean, he was good last year and was a pretty big contributor in the playoffs as well. So I think he could easily be the pretty good receiver 3 on the Philly. Probably would rotate a little bit with Wicks, so it probably would hurt Wicks's value, but so Breece Hall at 40 is definitely a nice click for dupes here. Not going to pass on Garrett Wilson here. he's a really good click at 42. I said I would probably take him here at 32 if I had Jefferson. So nice little Jets fall here in the draft. Had an early Adams to Mike. And then pretty standard over here, but still can't quite buy into this Ibuka third round bet. I think I have one share of Ibuka, and I took him. It was like a fall. I had a fall on Kyron over here. I started like running back Kyron, and I grabbed Ibuka just for the week 17 correlation. But I think that's my only share of him so far. Just think he's a little overpriced. You know, would be more interested in him, I think, on this side of the board, especially if I had like Nakua. That would be a nice spot at 45, but just not really seeing him end up on this side of the board at all. But I think we could see that at some point. So Ravj goes ahead and grabs an early Caleb. Early Odunze as well, so definitely a little rogue there. $55, I would be interested in Bucky for sure. Jackson, J-Mo, Mike Evans. We'll see what the board wants to give us here. So Bucky goes. I'm guessing this guy grabs J-Mo maybe for the... No, he doesn't. He grabs Evans. I was going to say he has Loveland, so it'd be pretty natural to grab J-Mo there. All right, so I guess we have Jackson here or J-Mo. I rarely see J-Mo fall here, so I'm going to go ahead and grab him. Haven't clicked him too much over here unless I have like a, you know, Burden J-Mo kind of 4 or 5 turn there, but do like him as a little faller here. He's a great wide receiver 3 for this team. Detroit has a really nice schedule as well. Minnesota, New York Giants, and at Chicago. So I think they also have the easiest schedule this year. So really good offense. Losing Montgomery as well just kind of consolidates everything a little more. Obviously, why I kind of have Gibbs as my, you know, 101 when I'm there. Hoping for probably a running back or quarterback here at 66. We'll see if maybe Price or Tootin are still available there. Usually they aren't, but just never know in DraftKings. All right, so Dardar gets a nice little fall on Lamar there. Completes his Flowers and Higgins stacks. That's pretty nice. It's a good start from Dardar. Keep an eye on him. Or her. I do like Swift a good bit as well. I'm kind of clicking him more in this 5th round. I think he'd have been a really nice pairing here at 66, but with J-Mo. But so Dak Prescott, pretty early on him. So there goes Price. So I do like a couple guys here. Tootin, Tyson, Parker, Daniels. Let's go ahead and grab Tootin as our RB3. I do, you know, love that Jacksonville and Commanders game. I think he's a very solid running back 3 for this team. Typically, yeah, I drafted similar guys, you know, Judkins, Swift, Tootin, Price in the 55 range. If, you know, none of the good receivers fall here, which J-Mo happened to. Also, J-Mo opens kind of a later quarterback for us, potentially. You know, in this, spoke about earlier, this 90 range with Purdy, but also now we have Goff. a nice option. It's definitely easier to kind of do the pushing quarterback play on underdog just because it's 18 rounds. You don't necessarily need 3. And then DraftKings, people just tend to grab quarterbacks on the early side. But this room seems a couple rogue early quarterbacks, but, you know, doesn't seem too quarterback crazy yet. Guess we'll see. So we feel good. We have a 0-3-3-0 start. But obviously love Jalen Hurts to fall here. Could grab a 4th running back, like a Harvey, Pollard type. Could just grab T-Law. Probably would grab T-Law if Hurts is gone. We'll see. Hurts would be really good at 79 with CMC and Devonta. I think Hurts just in general, you know, mid-7th round is really good. You don't even need really a stack with him, obviously, with his tush push and rushing prowess. But yeah, like I mentioned, there's a couple late guys, and you know, obviously Goddard is fine tight end. So Hurts does go to Dreed, probably just like the value, as I was saying. Doesn't have any stacks or any 49er players, but all right, Mekhi Lemon goes right after. See, yeah, I was gonna say probably Lawrence goes to Parker Washington drafter, so we lose out on both of our quarterbacks. A little unfortunate. Let's grab. RJ Harvey. Definitely have more shares of Jalen Warren in this range, so I think Harvey's fine. I want to mix him in a little bit. I've been getting a lot of kind of later New England pieces like Dubs, Henry, so don't mind that game because I feels like the market's a little off that Denver New England game just because they, you know, saw the playoff game last year, saw how low scoring it was, but also opens up Bo Nix in this range as well. So Cortland Sutton drafter has Allen, so probably will not grab Nix too early. I also don't mind Denver with Nix and Harvey, obviously, but kind of, you know, they have some kind of ambiguous wide receiver threes that we can get later. Franklin, Pat Bryant types that are, I think, valuable kind of clicks on DraftKings, just being 20 rounds. Probably don't need to worry about those guys as much on underdog unless you're trying to get like a low drafted guy, but DraftKings, you want to be thinking about your late picks a little more. Obviously, and also Kyle Williams, kind of interesting. Late pick, 20 round kind of guy as a bring back. Do you want a little more exposure to him? All right, so we got Fannin, Laporta, Kraft all going. That's okay. Since we have a lot of options at quarterback, I think we're going to push. Obviously, we want Purdy, but have 3 solid receivers. I think we're going to go ahead and grab Kyle Pitts here. Don't want to fall too far behind on tight end. I do like Kyle Pitts a good amount. Atlanta, you know, whoever is their quarterback is going to be kind of noodle armish, and Pitts was really good to end the year last year. You know, fits the mold of a good noodle arm guy to pepper. So whether that's Tua, whether that's Michael Penix, don't really care. Atlanta has New Orleans, week 17, so nice spot. Also could just go Naked Shuck as well. I've seen him fall a couple times, but all right. So Bo Nix goes at 94, probably to the Waddle drafter. No, not the Waddle drafter. Maybe he's just angry at the Waddle drafter. I'm gonna send a message. Not sure. Also, he has Stevenson and Henderson. Maybe just doing week 17 play there, but interesting. So 103, we're definitely going to be grabbing quarterback. Purdy would be ideal. Goff probably, if not. We should be able to get Goff pretty easily here because Laporta and Amon-Ra drafters on the other side. I guess the Gibbs guy could potentially grab this guy right here, Milky Wiki. But he just grabbed Dart, so we'll see. So Bo Nix guy grabs Stafford, also unstacked. He's just sniping everybody around him. Maybe he has a plan. We don't know. So we got a couple guys doubling up backfields here. We got Dreed grabbing Bucky and Gainwell, and Navy grabbing Henderson and Ramondre. So Purdy goes, so that's a little unfortunate. Guess we could just grab Herbert. I don't normally grab a lot of Herbert, but honestly don't hate it here. I think Herbert's a fine guy just to grab unstacked if he falls. I think this is probably more the range I like to see Herbert in. If he's been kind of in this like 80, mid-80s range, and just haven't really. It's probably my first share of Justin Herbert this year, I'm sure. Potentially could see QJ come back around, maybe. I don't know. But like I said, we don't need to necessarily stack Herbert here. Just kind of getting some different combos. Don't love Trey Harris as a late stack, but Gadsden's kind of exciting if he falls. So yeah, we'll see. See what we want to do. Goff goes at 105. Just, Goff's fine. If we, obviously we need a quarterback here, but do you think that weekly upside is higher for Herbert, even if the offense is slightly slower paced and more run heavy? But Chargers have San Francisco, so we got some correlation there in week 15. They also have Miami, who we like to target late, and they have KC week 17. So this could be a Xavier Worthy spot. It's a nice bring back there. I'm surprised hasn't been drafted yet. So yeah, I think we'll probably grab Worthy here, or QJ. Yeah, obviously QJ would be a nice falling stack at 114. But good options. Kelsey goes. Jonathan Brooks. All right, so looks like QJ made it back around. So it worked out pretty nicely for us there. Yeah, still no Worthy. So I'm guessing the Mahomes guy drives him here. Gelder. We don't have to worry as much now about our late Herbert, Brennan Thompson-esque picks. We can just stick with QJ at 114. I think that's a really good pick. Probably brings Tyquan Thornton higher up my board a little bit at the end, just because of week 17 correlation there. We feel good at running back. We feel good at receiver. We feel good at tight end so far. So see what comes back to us at 127. Could be Malik Willis. Naked Shuck. Obviously, Worthy would be nice. Some of these tight ends would be fine. I do not want to grab Gadsden at ADP, but would take him at like 150, I think. Be a nice fall. We'll see. Hasn't really fallen too much. I think his ADP is kind of slowly coming down, but probably more likely to get him down there on Underdog right now. DraftKings is a little slower to react to news. Let's see, where is... I think case in point of that is Zach Charbonnet still goes at 118. I was looking for him in like the 150s, but yeah. Don't understand that at all for Navy, but you know, he's going to miss most of the first half of the year, so 118 really does not make sense at all for that, but all right, so yeah, most of our guys that we just spoke about are still available, so might be getting a very nice start here. Wow, Tank Bigsby. I don't know what Navy's doing, but could be drunk with some of these picks. So Debs would have been a nice week 17 with Harvey, but still have Worthy, still have Malik Willis, still have Golden, Kincaid, Concepcion. So there goes Worthy and Golden. So I think we'll go ahead and grab our quarterback 2, Malik Willis. It is a Chargers correlation with Herbert and QJ for week 16. That game is in Miami, so will be a nice spot. You know, coming from the DFS world, we like to think, you know, what games are we going to be targeting, you know, in DFS. That's sure early on, penciling that one in as a nice game environment. So, yeah, we like to draft those kind of guys. All right, 2-4-4-1 is a nice start. Kind of covering all the bases there. Concepcion is a nice pick here at 128. We like Kincaid. We like Andrews to fall back around. Maybe Gadsden. Maybe we grab our 5th running back. This is kind of where the receivers start drying up once we get to the Jalen Cokers of the world. And Rashid Shaheeds, I kind of stop drafting receivers and kind of wait till later here. Jalen Coker pick. Can't wrap my head around on that one. I'm guessing just for that one, I guess that one Spike playoff game. I think if we didn't have that one game against the Rams, I think he would probably be going 180s and 70s at least. Just like 40 rounds of last game syndrome. Cam Ward 136. Got both Minnesota guys going. Andrews goes. Definitely grab Kincaid here. He gives us a nice week 17 correlation with Willis. He's a really good tight end too. Also gives us, would have given us Harvey week 16 correlation. So he's a really good pick at 137. I think we're going to go ahead and grab Rashad White as our 5th running back. Do like him here at 138. He gives us a little correlation with Bashal Tutin. for that game. Also, he correlates with Mr. Pitts in week 15, so he's a really good pick at 138. Especially on DraftKings, where, you know, his main role is probably going to be kind of that Austin Eckler role we've seen of, you know, receiver, but mixed in on early downs as well. So definitely want to grab another tight end soon. I think Gadsden at 151 I mentioned earlier would be a nice spot for him. Diggs would be nice there. Jennings would fit with the Jets. Kind of get into this range of Okonkwo, Brenton Strange, and Juwan I would be interested in as well. Hunter Henry's fine. So we'll see what we got here. So there goes Gadsden. It's fine. Don't really want to be, you know, ahead or even at ADP with him. Looking at more of a 150s pick. I'll start being interested in Gadsden just with the, you know, offensive environment there. A lot of mouths to feed. Kind of slower pace offense. Good defense. 3 good running backs. It's kind of why I've avoided the Chargers at this point. Just I think they're one of the least condensed offenses right now in the whole league. So obviously I like Herbert at 103, QJ at 114, but you know, we've been seeing Herbert go 80s, QJ typically low hundreds, even early 90s or late 90s. So happy to be a buyer there. Diggs at 146 is a good pick. We have late Geno always in our bag of tricks here. Also could grab a late lefty slinging Falcon, but not a great pick, or not a pick I've really made too much of. Definitely grab Sadiq here. Juwan as well. Naylor. I think we're going to go ahead and grab Juwan Jennings. We'll get a piece of Minnesota. Minnesota is perfect for this team because Minnesota has Detroit in week 15, Washington in week 16, and then obviously the Jets, Garrett Wilson. So we kind of hit on everything correlation-wise there. I think Juwan's, you know, one of the better receiver threes out there. Never been a huge Jordan Addison guy, so I think Juwan's a very sensible pick in the 150s, even 140s. I like him just straight up more than Jalen Coker, Rashid Shaheed. So yeah, fits with the Jets picks. So what do we want to take Geno is the question, I guess. He has a 170 ADP. Probably would just take him here at 160 if he doesn't already go. Sadiq guy already has 3 QBs. He also has Breece Hall, so I guess slight danger of maybe grabbing his 4th quarterback, but if you've already invested Burrow, Goff, and Ward, can't imagine Geno really helping your team out, but we will see. We'll see what Dubes is thinking here. Danny Dimes at 159 is a pretty good fall. Nice selection for Mike. He has Tyler Warren as well, so yeah. He's building a nice little quarterback room here. Dubes passes on Geno, so let's go ahead and lock up Geno here. Some tight ends that we do like, but let's grab Geno. If we do miss out on these 3 guys, actually 4 guys, we'll probably divert this into a 4 tight end room featuring Terrence Ferguson, maybe Dulcich, Well, actually, definitely Dulcich since we have Malik. And, you know, could even be in Elijah Arroyo, last round pick team. So yeah, Okonkwo, Juwan go pretty quickly there. So looks like it's going to turn into a 4 tight end room that we like to do. We feel good everywhere, especially at running back. Receiver feels really good. Quarterback room feels good. So yeah. David Njoku, I haven't taken a share of him yet, but since we have Herbert, don't love the 181 ADP on him, but I think 186-ish would be fine. I guess this is probably where we take like Terrence Ferguson anyway, because let's find our Stafford drafter. Well, Navy, he's unpredictable. He probably doesn't even know anything about Terrence Ferguson. Probably would be a Colby Parkinson type drafter. So maybe able to get Ferguson at 199 in that case. He already has Gadsden and Strange. But I do prefer Ferguson to Njoku straight up anyway, so see how it works out here. We're holding our breath on Navy's pick here. Tyreek Hill. Okay. And you go, and then he immediately puts himself on auto draft. Or maybe he just missed the pick. Could have been ordering round 2 at the bar, potentially. Or round 3. Tyreek Hill. All right. I was going to say Denzel Boston would have been a nice pick here. I don't hate Dalton Schultz at this point. What does Houston have? They have Jacksonville, Philly, and Green Bay. So fits a lot of our guys. I think he's a perfectly fine tight end too, especially since it's probably going to be a 4 tight end room. Tesla is fine here, but don't love Tesla on a JMO team. Just feel like JMO hits his ceiling season, probably at the expense of Tesla, and if Tesla hits his ceiling type season, probably or definitely at the expense of maybe a JMO injury or just inefficient season. Schultz is fine. I think I like to build a 4 tight end room where we have like a Pitts, really good, like top tier tight end. We have a Schultz, kind of a low floor, or I'm sorry, kind of higher floor but low ceiling type guy. We mix in like a Terrence Ferguson, high upside, low floor guy, and then probably add Dulcich to go along with Malik. Probably would just grab Ferguson here at 186. There's not really any receivers that I have to pick here. Running back we feel really good at. I think we're just done at 5. We could grab like a 6th Sean Tucker-esque pick, but I don't think this team needs it. You know, Rashad White, RJ Harvey, Bashal Tootin, Kenneth Walker, and CMC. You know, I think the luxury of taking 5 good backs like that is you can kind of turn that into 4 tight ends and not worry about 6. Sean Tucker goes early anyway, so. All right, comes back to us. Guess we could grab either Njoku or Ferguson. I think I just straight up prefer Ferguson to Njoku anyway, even with Herbert. Yeah. Especially, you know, we grabbed Schultz there. Really don't need another, like, in my mind, Njoku is just kind of another lesser Schultz, just a guy who's probably not going to get much snap share. Doesn't have a lot of upside at this point in his career. Could just be kind of contingent anyway with, you know, Gadsden's talented. A lot of mouths to feed there. Keenan Allen could even be coming back to further dilute the market share there. Yeah, don't really see any upside in Njoku. So Ferguson, obviously, I do see a lot of upside in. I already have, like I said, the kind of floor, more boring pick. So don't want to add another one of those to this team. Definitely want Dulcich as well. So I have to kind of figure out where to take him. There is a lot of guys with 2 tight ends on this side of the board, but we'll probably just take a shot on Dulcich being here at 210. I think that's pretty fair to set our assessment to make. I noticed Ridley's been falling a lot, just with him missing OTAs, which not too worried about, but also not the highest upside guy. We could grab Chris Bell here, but probably rather push him around later. Trey Harris is an option with Herbert, but don't really love Trey Harris much. Maybe if I didn't have QJ, but I think with QJ, Trey Harris is kind of a gross selection there. So Stowers goes. I think we're going to go ahead and grab... Let's go ahead and grab Ted Hurst. We don't have any Ted Hurst. He's been rising up. I think he's fine at 199. Fits in with Terrence Ferguson there on week 17. Between him and Malachi Fields. I already have a decent amount of Malachi. I do not have a Cowboy on this team, so just a smidge less inclined to grab him over Hurst when I do have, obviously, week 17 there. Hurst also fits in week 16 with Mr. Pitts. So 210, we're going to hope for a Dulcich, tight end 4. That'll end the room, and then we'll probably just end it with 2 more receivers. Chris Bell, Caleb Douglas, potentially with Willis, and then maybe like a Jacoby Lane last round. Zachariah Branch is very interesting as well, especially if you have like New Orleans guys. He does not, but I like that pick. Malachi Fields as well with Flournoy. This guy's making some smart decisions here. Especially with Dak. All right, so it comes back around to us here. I think we're going to go ahead and lock up. Well, do we take Chris Bell? No, I don't think we do. Did Dulcich go? Oh, he did go. Okay. So I guess if Dulcich goes, we will just grab Chris Bell here. Just take the ADP on him. We'll shift this into a Elijah Arroyo 4 tight end room, which brings in another option for us here at 222 of Mr. Brazel. Do you like the Chris Brazel, Elijah Arroyo little week 19-20 correlation there? So Milky Weeky took Dulcich a hit away from us, but it's all right. I think when you have Willis, you just kind of want one Dolphin to go with him. Whether that's Chris Bell, whether that's Caleb Douglas, whether that is Dulcich. Just kind of mix it all up. All are kind of similar bets. Don't really want multiple Dolphins in that low volume environment, but definitely one Dolphin is pretty good to have at their cost. So, oh yeah, we don't even have to worry about Arroyo because Mr. Navy wildcard here has Darnold, so sometimes the Darnold drafter might grab Arroyo potentially, but Coleman's also interesting since we have the Dolphins. He would be a week 17 guy as well. Probably will go Coleman actually because of the ADP, slightly better ADP than Brazel, and I don't have any shares of Coleman yet. So let's mix him in here. You know, obviously did not have a very good season last year, but if he gets his head on straight, could be a fine touchdown option. He's actually similar to Torrey Horton, maybe a little less explosive, but more of a maybe Mike Evans, Torrey Horton, where he's just going to be, could be like a good goal line touchdown guy, long play guy. Barely played last year, still had 5 touchdowns, so. As I said, he fits in with the Dolphins week 17. Also, they played Denver week 16, so fits in with Harvey. First share of him, so. You know, Brazel, all these guys, just mixing them in. Corey Lane, just they're all the same bet at this point. Just want to mix them in when you have correlations around them. Also, don't even necessarily have to do 4 tight ends with this room. We could grab Brazel if he's still here. But I feel pretty good about this receiver room. Donta Smith, Garrett Wilson, J-Mo, QJ, Jawan. I mean, feels pretty solid. Obviously, I like Pitts, Schultz, kind of boring. Ferguson, who knows, with upside. I just think a 4th tight end adds a little more to this team. Do really like Arroyo. I think if it wasn't for that injury at the end of the year, I think he would be going much higher, much closer at least to. I think Barner would be down in this range, and Arroyo would be going right with him. Just think he has way more upside than AJ Barner. Barner was just kind of a product of volume off the injury. 2nd-year tight end, basically undrafted as well, so a lot of good leverage pulls within Arroyo as your last pick. Good offense, Super Bowl winning team, so definitely heavy personnel team as well, so I think Arroyo is just a good overall 4th tight end, last round pick at this point. So as I say all that, we'll go ahead and just lock up Mr. Arroyo there. So a nice 3-5-8-4 build. We will recap it once. So Elvis might have been listening, grabs Brazel. Good correlation there with Horton. He also grabs Deshaun Watson, who, you know, keeping our eye on. He's spinning it nicely here early through OTAs. He goes very late tight ends as well. Definitely a little too gross of a tight end room, if you ask me, with Okonkwo, Barner, and Stowers, but I guess he also started out with 5 running backs right off the rip here. So kind of interesting build. Tua, Watson, and T-Law. But not a bad team. Justin Fields was drafted. Interesting. Mr. Rajiv has Henry, Otten, Njoku, and Darnell Washington. Not a lot of upside in that room. Alright. recap the team here. We got CMC and Kenneth Walker. We have Devontae Smith, Garrett Wilson, J-Mo, Bashal Tootin, and Harvey. So nice 4 running back kind of early start. Kyle Pitts is our tight end 1. We have Justin Herbert and QJ. A little bit in falling stack, which was nice. Malik Willis, quarterback 2. Rashad White is our 5th and final running back. I love that. Juwan Jennings gives us a lot of week 15, week 16, week 17 correlation with our guys. Geno Smith, quarterback 3 that we love. We have Dalton Schultz, Terrence Ferguson, tight ends 2 and 3. We have Ted Hurst, Chris Bell, and Keon Coleman as kind of late receiver corollary dart throws. Chris Bell fits stack, and Hurst and Coleman fit playoff correlations. And then Elijah Arroyo, one of our favorite tight end 4s at this point in the draft cycle, to cap it off. So yeah, very good team there. Got some nice followers. J-Mo and Herbert and QJ all kind of fall in our laps there. We had that one kind of wild card Navy guy drafting to help us with some nice ADP falls. So we'll grab another draft room here. Dirty Martini, J Fish Bet, Woodward Ave, Nam, Ragin' Asian. Good names. Let's go ahead and check Twitter to make sure we haven't missed any crazy news here. Cam Ward has lost 10 pounds. I'm grabbing a lot of Cam Ward. I do like, seems like Carnell Tate is looking the part of the alpha receiver. Every camp clip I'm seeing of him is like a one-handed grab, just looking good, man. He's like double the size of... Anytime I see him and Wandale next to each other, just kind of reminds me of that Derrick Henry. What was that old Saints running back's name from Alabama? Short dude. Let me just have to search this. Alabama NFL players. Man, he's on the Saints. Alumni of Alabama. Man, it's going to take forever. You can picture him. Alright, let's do this a different way. Alabama NFL players, Saints. Mark Ingram. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. AI. Alright, so Cam Ward is losing weight. It's like Jordan Spieth has made back-to-back birdies. He's in 6th place. Nice. Not seeing much else in the Twitter feed here, so I think we are safe to assume no one's got arrested or anything, so alright. We need one more person. Looks like Milwiki is back. We've drafted with him or her last round. Alright, so we drew the 10 hole. Nice spot. That could be a Jefferson spot, could be a CD spot, could be maybe James Cook. We got Milwaukee after us in the 12 hole. Looks like we have a Lions fan. It's actually a good spot for a Lions fan because it should be a Amon-Ra St. Brown landing spot for him. Do you like Amon-Ra a good bit? Raging Asian draws the 1 hole. We'll see if they are a Bijan or a Gibbs guy. Or maybe a Jamar Chase guy. Maybe a Puka guy. Who knows? Definitely going to have to do a couple drafts, pulling up Puka or Chase. Just to, haven't really seen much. Or even JSN, honestly. Would probably, trying to think any corollary pieces over here that would make sense for any of those guys. Flowers goes over here. Igbuka on this side of the board, so harder to get those kind of interesting Week 17 games. So Raging Asian grabs Bijan. I think for me it's going to be James Cook. Or if Jefferson is there, I'll take Jefferson. St. Brown, but I think Heiner with the Lions PFP is not going to let St. Brown fall in this room, but we'll see. So the standard 1 through 5 start to start us off here. This is where sometimes it gets different. McCaffrey goes at 6. JT 7. Amon-Ra. Oh, Jefferson to Mr. Heiner. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe he has so much Amon-Ra already in his portfolio. He wants to differentiate, diversify a little bit with Jefferson. So I think this is going to be either Amon-Ra or Cook, depending on what Dirty Martini does. Grabs Amon-Ra, so we're going to grab James Cook. As I mentioned last stream, the Buffalo Bills have a nice Week 17 matchup with the Dolphins. I can see Lamb here as well, Ginty. But yeah, James Cook. Nice start to any running back room. Achan goes at 14. Let's try an early Bowers team here. Have a lot of Cook Barkley starts, so let's grab Bowers. It's pretty good. Yeah, I know I mentioned this a lot, but it's hard for me to click Hampton just this early in the second. Just not a big Charger guy this year. I think their price, fine with their offense, but I think their pricing. Everyone's just a little overpriced for my liking. I know last draft we got Herbert and QJ at 103, 114. If that's where they were going or end up going, I'll definitely start drafting them. But I just think at their current prices, not a big fan. Pretty much prefer all these running backs over Hampton. Henry, Love, even Breece Hall, honestly. I know I got Hampton one time at 28 on DraftKings. It's a fine spot for him, but just don't get the 16 price on him at all. So we have pretty standard start now is this Chase Rice start, which, feels pretty good for hair, I'm sure, as long as everything works out with Rice. His jail time, his knee healing up, no suspension. We'll see. Again, not really expecting a suspension, but I do think if a suspension was to happen, it'd probably be pretty lengthy. So it's a pretty big risk, but probably the overall likelihood of a suspension is pretty low with, the stance, I guess, on marijuana lessening, just a probation violation. But, repeat offenders like him, like overly repeat offenders sometimes are made examples of, so we will see. But obviously, Rice's healthy ceiling type season, it's going to be a great pick at 22 if that all works out. Have an early Josh Allen pick over on 25, the Raging Asian. So Hare grabs a couple question marks of Rice and Neighbors, so definitely shooting for the stars. So do you like to see that from him or from anyone? These guys could all three be, Rice was early second a couple weeks ago. Neighbors was last year was, drafted right here 10, 11, 12 all the time, so definitely see the upside with that. Jeremiah Love slipping slightly lately down to 30 here. See what comes back to us. Definitely be interested in Smith, Breece Hall. Breece Hall goes to Heiner, so he grabs a little Jet as Jets. Colson Lovin with an early 33. I think we'll grab Devonta Smith again. 34 is a good price tag on him. Don't want to fall too far behind at receiver when I start with Bowers early. And, there's plenty of guys that we can probably click on here at 39 at running back. Don't really love the receivers in the fourth round, early fourth, so. Could even get Garrett Wilson here, too. Kind of like we did last time. ETN goes, I guess. Jacobs would have been nice. He goes. I think this is kind of the range we're going to see Jacobs in more now. He was going up here, but I think we're going to see him more late third. Pulls up Scattaboo as well. Could be Javonte here for us. Could be Garrett Wilson. So Ibuka was not one of my options, so it doesn't really help me. Don't love Ted McMillan. Flowers is fine. I'm gonna grab Garrett Wilson again. I just think he's kind of. I think he's head and shoulders above the rest of the options here. I do like Javonte as well, but this 58-63 range is kind of loaded with running backs typically that we like. So we start Bowers here. Do want to grab a couple earlier receivers And I think Wilson and Smith are really solid options. So we have Rome Odunze going ahead of Burden. Haven't seen that one yet. It's a dirty martini. Definitely think the Bears are pretty expensive. Loveland, Burden, and Odunze are all going in the top 5 rounds. I think Loveland and Burden makes sense. I think Odunze is a little overpriced, and really overpriced at 40, but could be wrong there. Could have been just injury related last year, his kind of down season, but just kind of coincided with, as soon as like Burden and Loveland kind of took over and started producing, it seems like Odunze was the guy that took the hit from that. So I think we're going to see more of that this year. Burden, Loveland being kind of the guys there, and Odunze taking more of a back seat. But like I said, could be wrong, and you know, Rome's shown some ceiling at times, so. But 40, definitely not for me at 40. Burden, so Hare is grabbing all the upside receivers, so he's starting off very strong here. We'll see if he grabs a running back at 51. Josh Allen drafter got DJ Moore, pretty standard. Don't think I've selected DJ Moore this year. I think he would be interesting in the late 5th, early 6th, but not a big fan of him here in the 4th round. Anywhere, really. See if Hare's going to just... Okay, he grabs Judkins, so he is grabbing a lot of injury risk, suspension risk. Obviously the suspension risk is for Rice, but Rice also has a little injuries overcoming. Neighbors clouded by injury, and then Judkins is coming off a pretty good injury of his own. So, like I said, you know, might as well shoot for the stars on every squad. So I don't mind taking a lot of injury risk, especially at this point in May when we, you know, so early, or end of May. We were hoping for some running back falls, and Swift would be a nice pick here. Mike Evans would be a nice fall as well. Tootin would be good. Jadarian Price. Jadarian Price goes, so we're going to go ahead and grab Swift. I think he's a good pick at 58. You can see if Tootin comes back around, or also could, or Evans. Also could just grab Caleb here. Don't mind that. Also could just see if, you know, one of the kind of mid-elite quarterbacks would fall back around at 82. Probably unlikely, but... So Cornell, Tate, and Evans go. Definitely grab Tootin here, if he's available. If not, probably grab a quarterback. Tootin goes. I also could grab Tyson. Don't have a lot of Tyson yet. See what J-Fish does here. Grabs Marvin Harrison. Let's grab Jordan Tyson. Do you want more exposure to the Saints and Falcons? He opens up, we like Kyle Pitts at tight end. We also like Zachariah Branch late rounds. We like Shuck in here, so I think it makes sense, with all these this range of quarterbacks to not really be the first kind of guy grabbing them, hoping that they fall. Typically they don't, but never know. Could see Hurts at 82. We have a lot of late guys already that are forming for us. Caleb goes to the Dirty Martini. When you invest a lot in Odunze and Loveland kind of early, kind of have to grab Caleb there because, the bets on Odunze and Loveland in the 3rd and 4th round are pretty substantial. So you do expect Caleb to have a monster year if these two guys, pay off their price tags. We'll definitely need a 3rd running back for sure coming up. 82, 87. We also can grab, I always just like grabbing Lawrence at the end of this kind of mid-elite quarterback tier, I like to call it. Jalen Warren would be nice. Pollard, Harvey sometimes falls back here, so have options. Obviously Hurts is our gold star fall to 82, but I don't expect him to come back to us here. Hare, who started out strong at receiver, did grab back-to-back running backs, so Judkins Stevenson is a pretty good, pretty good room when you start your running back 1 in round 5. Raging Asian is drafting the late breakout guys of Parker Washington and Michael Wilson. Definitely prefer, out of the two of these guys, prefer Washington. I don't think I've drafted any of Michael Wilson, but he certainly did look good last year. Just as I said on other streams, not a big Arizona pass guy at current price. Just think they're all a little overpriced. I don't think, if you told me that Jacoby Brissett was starting week 17 and that they would have the same pass rate over expectation, obviously would be more bullish on them, but I just don't think the new coaching staff is going to kind of run back the same strategy that lost them, Jacoby Brissett in that fast-paced offense, went like 1-12 or 1-11, so don't think it'd be super smart to kind of run back that same strategy. I think they're going to kind of turn more into the Dolphins of, a lot of Jeremiah Love, a lot of low-scoring games, a lot of slow-paced slog games, and I don't think any of these guys outside of, maybe McBride is going to pay off their, and obviously I like Love as well, but Love and McBride are fine, but I think Harrison and Wilson are just overpriced. So, all right, Hurts goes. Have a couple quarterback options here. Did Jalen Warren already go? He did, and Pollard. So I think we have to grab Harvey, kind of a tier break guy there, and then we'll hope for T-Law. I think Dak will probably go to Milky Weeky. Maybe he grabs both. Also could bring up Laporta as a fine tight end 1 to pair with Swift. So don't necessarily need him because of Bowers, but I also don't mind starting, 2 really strong tight ends. Milky Weeky grabs Godwin. see if he also grabs Lawrence. Probably we'll start our room with Lawrence if he does not. I'm assuming that J-Fish doesn't take Lawrence, but you never know. Probably eyeing Baker, Ward, maybe Shuck even. We still have Shuck in our back pocket down here as a good quarterback too to go with Tyson. Also, Kyle Pitts, Faller here would be pair nicely with Tyson. So he grabs Sutton. We're going to go ahead and grab Mr. Lawrence. We can hope for Jacoby Myers Faller coming around. Happens frequently. Opens up maybe a Travis Hunter later pick. Brenton Strange. Excuse me. We also like Chig Okonkwo, so could be a week 17 guy as well. I just think Lawrence just a good pick here. At 87, he was really good last year and has a good coordinator, or has a good, offensive scheme, has good playmakers. Backstacking ability, so yeah, he fits kind of every team, every build type. Jaguars have a really good schedule as well for the playoffs. Play at Houston, at Dallas, and then home to Washington. So two dome environments, and then the Commanders should be a pretty good spot to target. Do you always like to see kind of two separate conference teams squaring off? A lot of times they're not very familiar with each other, don't play often, can lead to more of a shootout type game versus playing the division opponent again usually yields lower scoring environments, but yeah, I like Washington just in general with Jaden hopefully healthy this year, fully healthy. All right, so Hare is grabbing a bunch of running backs now that he started with this strong receiver start, and he grabs Kittle, tight end 1. So we'll see what he does at quarterback. Might just be a late quarterback, Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, maybe hoping for Baker to fall back. We'll see. Dart at 101 is a nice fall on him. Surprised that K. Sweeney passed on Dart for Stafford, but so like I said, I guess Myers already went. Falling Pitts would be nice. We could grab like Bo Nix, quarterback 2. Shuck. Pittman already goes, so another one of our typical receiver picks is gone. 4th running back. Let's take a look at that. Don't want Dobbins. I think JCM, Corey Krosky-Merritt, maybe around this corner would be nice with some Washington correlation. But I don't need to take him at this pick, I don't think. Yeah, I think we're going to grab Pitts. I think this is a good spot for a nice tight end 2 to go along with Bowers. Not a lot of people do that when they have Bowers, so a little different construction. Pairs well with Tyson. We can either go Shuck here or maybe reach a bit on JCM. Let's see who is in the 130s. Maybe if you told me Rachaad White would be here, I would definitely wait for that, but Hard to say, because after White, it kind of does drop off considerably there. Do have a pretty strong start though. Cook, Swift, and Harvey is fine. But I think we're gonna just grab JCM here if he's here. Don't necessarily think we need a quarterback 2 at this point, even though, you know, Bo Nix, Shuck would fit well. Let's just push it around and see what comes back to us. Could be Malik Willis again with James Cook. I like that. As a QB2, Goff and Love go to Milky Wiki. Purdy goes at 107. It's a good fall on him. Was another option for us as a QB2, but like I said, I wanted to get just different construction with a strong tight end 2 with Bowers. I do like that kind of construction. Most Bowers drafters are just kind of waiting to the very end on tight end as like tight end 2. Kincaid goes. All right, so yeah, we're gonna go ahead and grab Corey Krosky Merritt. It's a bit of a reach on him, but another option too is if Rachaad White does come back to us at 130, might just lock up the Washington backfield since we have Lawrence. Could grab like Travis Hunter. What's Travis Hunter's ADP? Usually it's pretty high on DraftKings, higher than I normally like to pay, but he's 152. Okay, so we definitely just push him into this range of picks. Could also just grab Brenton Strange as a third and final tight end for this team as well, so not too worried about it. But coming around here, we'll definitely be looking for Willis, hopefully to fall, and then, you know, Rachaad White. Don't mind doubling up the Washington backfield there for a correlation. And also just to close the room out, I think, with 5. Definitely do that, locking up a room. So Shuck goes at 118 to Hare. It's a pretty good fall. Well, I guess it's pretty standard. Where did... Oh, Olave went pretty early at 24. Not a bad pick, though, because he does correlate with Bijan. So we'll probably see... I think I already did this once or twice, pulling Olave up to fit a Week 17 stack. Also, by doing this Pitts with Bowers, it does put pressure on these kind of guys that like to wait on tight end. I like to do that because, you know, we got 4 guys that haven't taken a tight end yet. So puts pressure on them to kind of, you know, maybe reach a bit. Might help us get to Travis Hunter at 154. Because of that, because people will be grabbing tight ends in that range instead of, you know, nice upside picks. So I think ideally would be Malik Willis, quarterback 2 on this team with James Cook would be really nice. But like I said, also Rachaad White would be a nice 5th and final running back to kind of lock up that room. I already have Lawrence for the correlation. Washington also plays Atlanta Week 15, another nice dome environment. And we have a couple, you know, late quarterbacks, even if we don't get Willis here. Obviously, Geno is a regular on my teams. Mendoza with Bowers would be fine. And as I've said, you know, the Deshaun Watson bet is looking a little more enticing with the late Cleveland picks and just kind of where he goes in drafts. I don't mind him as my quarterback 3 either. So Shaheed, Kelsey go, Jordan Mason. So Baker Mayfield's still here too. Honestly, would probably just grab him as a falling ADP value at 130. Don't even really need to pair him with anyone. Wow, Darnold ahead of Baker. So yeah, just kind of like we did last draft with Herbert. I'm just going to go ahead and grab just a good player at a big discount. If we backstack him with McMillan or Hurst, great. If not, you know, just a guy that don't necessarily need to stack, but just good, valuable. QB2. Let's see. So Igbuka. So I guess Jfish probably was hoping for him there. Where is Bucky guy? Bucky guy passed with him as well. So all right. So Rashad White does go. We also can just grab Willis here, close out our receiver or our quarterback room. That's probably what we'll do. Be a very strong quarterback room. So Willis goes to Jfish. We have 3 receivers. Let's go ahead and just grab McMillan. I don't love Jalen McMillan, but you know, pairs with Baker. He was good last year. Yeah, I know he had the neck injury early on in the kind of off season and didn't play a ton, obviously. But week 17 had a nice game against Miami. Had 9 targets for 114. Yeah, still think he fits in that receiver room fine. Don't have a lot of exposure to him, but I find to kind of pull up a guy that I'm kind of low on if I do get their quarterback, you know, at a deep discount, similar to what we did with QJ last draft. You know, had Herbert fall to us at like, you know, 100. So QJ is not a guy I'm grabbing very often, but you know, do like to pair our quarterbacks. And there wasn't really anyone else that, you know, Rashad White was gone, so I think that was a pretty big tier break at running back. Tight ends, obviously we don't need at all, really. We could just stop at 2, really, if we wanted to. But we have, you know, do you like Chig or Brenton Strange in our back pocket? If we wanted to grab a third, we probably do want to grab a third, but if there is a run on tight ends, we can just pass on them. Obviously, we're hoping for Travis Hunter to fall back over to us here for a little bit of high upside with Lawrence. Still have Geno as a third quarterback or Mendoza as well. Oh, Dallas Goedert at 140. It's a pretty good fall on him. This is a very anti-tight end room because a lot of guys still are running 0 tight ends so far through, you know, 11 or 12 rounds. Raging Asian still has not taken a tight end yet. Let's see if he rips off a couple here. He grabs Stroud, QB2. He's probably penciling in Dalton Schultz down in a few rounds. But, you know, that's not really how I want to start my tight end rooms this year, with a low floor, low ceiling, or, you know, mid floor, low ceiling option as your tight end 1. Just doesn't feel very good. So Woody Marks would have been a nice kind of running back 5. He goes. tight ends could fall to us. Always like Juwan Jennings. Got Strange, Hunter. Keaton Mitchell would be kind of interesting pick as a 5th running back. See what is left here. Probably go Hunter if he's here at 154, because this is where receivers kind of dry up as well. I mean, the Las Vegas guys are fine, Boston's fine, but Manatee Jennings too, but we'll see. They usually go pretty quickly in this range. So there goes Jennings. Guy still has 1 quarterback. I think we'll go Hunter and then a running back. See if we can push Geno. But honestly, we don't need Geno on this team either. Got 2 solid guys and can just grab whoever's there. Or can just stop at 2, honestly. I like tight end room. Pretty flexible. So Naylor, Cooper, Sadiq. Also have Strange. I'm just going to go ahead and grab Hunter here. I think Strange is fine, but Hunter gives us some upside. And really don't need Strange in this team, like I said before. With Pitts and Bowers, I think we have more of a need at running back. And obviously, we need a little bit of juice in this receiver room. We have Smith, Wilson, and Tyson, but never a bad bet to make on Travis Hunter either. Just when I have Trevor Lawrence. Not a big Hunter drafter, but when I do miss out on like Myers and the rest of the Jacksonville guys, it's good to make a bet on Hunter because he really is, super high upside, especially if one of those 3 were to go down. Be potentially league-winning upside in this round. So Strange goes to Mill. He also grabs his 3rd quarterback in Aaron Rodgers pretty early. Spears would be pretty good here. Keaton Mitchell would be nice. I prefer Mitchell. So let's grab him as our running back 5. We can stop there. We can also probably consider drafting our boy Sean Tucker as a 6th, which we'll probably do, honestly, because, like I said before, we don't need 3 tight ends. Might want to grab Terrence Ferguson as a nice 3rd tight end with some, Baker McMillan correlation there. So Mendoza goes. I'm sure Geno will be gone before 178, so we're really left with, an Atlanta guy, Deshaun Watson, but not really a need. See how it shakes out. If we get like a Jerry Jeudy or Denzel Boston type, be more apt to grab Watson. I don't really have a super strong take on either Tua or Penix. I guess probably at this point, probably lean Penix just because I think he showed more as a starter last year than Tua did. I mean, obviously he's coming off an injury as well, but a late Penix is probably a fine click with Pitts. But, I guess that would probably be more interesting if I had like a Zachariah Branch to go with him in Pitts. So, see if that works out. Who's Branch's ADP? It's 208. It's a pretty solid spot. I have seen him rise a bit, so let's kind of pencil him in at 202. for now. See if we can get him there. Because obviously we have Pitts, we have Tyson. Would feel much more comfortable taking an Atlanta lefty with a double stack. Otherwise, perfectly fine just to play out Lawrence and Baker. But like I said, we're going to see what receivers come back to us here. Boston. Also, Sampson would be a really nice running back 6. Judy, I'm fine with taking. So if we get one of those guys, opens up Watson as well. Wow, so we got Hare going early Miami, guys. Don't love that, especially without Malik Willis. No Buffalo Bills, so interesting strategy from him. So Boston goes to Durr. Judy would fit pretty good on this team just because Hunter, you know, could be kind of more of a late season contingent bet, and Judy probably gets more targets early than he does late just because I'm sure Boston and Concepcion will develop more as the season goes on and kind of pass him on the depth chart, but could be a decent kind of early season boost of a guy. I always like to pair kind of that kind of player with more of a late season bet like Hunter. So Sampson goes, so we lose that option as well. I think what's going to be Judy here, Mike Washington. Yeah, let's go ahead and grab Judy. Could have grabbed Brian Robinson as well as our 6th running back, but see if he comes back around here. Judy also opens one of our favorite late guys because Baltimore plays Cleveland week 16, and we do want to grab more Jacoby Lane, so opens up that pick nicely for us. We're still good at tight end. Good to just kind of hold there. We'll maybe get Ferguson, but we won't push Ferguson just because it could fall to us at 207, 202, especially because the Stafford drafter has pretty strong, decent start at tight end. So Brian Robinson goes. Could grab like a Tank Bigsby. Could also grab Otten as like our 3rd and final tight end. Don't love Otten, but Calvin Ridley goes. Kind of do whatever here. Not any really appealing options. Let's grab Kate Otten. I'm not going to have a lot of Kate Otten, but we already have the upside tight ends. And just grab a stack piece. Help with the bye weeks. None of the running backs really that exciting. I'm really going to pull one of these guys up. Where we were at ADP. Still, could grab like a Ray Davis. Or I guess we don't want Ray Davis with Cook, but we could grab like a Sean Tucker, Kalen Black. Najee Harris is always lingering at the end. So at 202, I think we're hoping for Zachariah Branch to come all the way back around. If that's the case, grab him there, and then maybe grab Penix. I don't know who has more upside, you know, either Atlanta quarterbacks or Watson. Kind of hard to tell at this point. But, you know, we probably would be grabbing them in the 19th round, so we'd probably just be, you know, at the mercy of the room, taking who is there at that point. 207, we would definitely would like to get our boy Sean Tucker. Depending on what option, like if Malachi Fields and Zachariah Branch are there, we probably would just lock up Tucker at that point, but we'll see kind of what an opportunity cost of either pick would be there. Just both of these guys have 5 running backs. Both need more receivers. Malachi Fields is gone. Probably gonna grab Branch, I think, is what we'll do, and then hope to get Sean Tucker as our 6th and final running back. So Colby Parkinson, 190, and Mike Gesicki is starting to rise up boards here into the 17th round. This guy has 4 tight ends, so he's doing kind of the 4 tight end build, but not how I like to do it. No upside really, just kind of all the same player. I mean, Goddard has a little bit, Conquo has a little bit, but no. I would have rather seen Terrence Ferguson as his 4th, especially without Burrow. I guess he has Jackson, so maybe did a week 17 play with the Bengals Ravens. All right, so Zachariah Branch is still on the board, which is nice to see. Got Ted Hurst as well, but definitely don't want Ted Hurst and okay, Watson's gone, so don't really want Ted Hurst and McMillan. I don't think that's a very good bet to make on both of those guys. So yeah, we'll grab Branch with Tyson. Nice correlation. Pitts. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab Sean Tucker here, and then Watson is gone, so I guess we'll be at the mercy of whatever Atlanta quarterback is left here at 226. I think it makes sense to grab a 3rd quarterback, especially because we haven't gotten any Atlanta quarterbacks yet. I don't think I've drafted either one. Do have a double stack. We do have week 17 correlation there. I think you know, taking a swing on one of the 2 lefty noodle arm guys. We have the 2 noodle arm targets as well with Pitts and Branch, both going to be working kind of short patterns behind the line of scrimmage for Branch, I'm sure a lot of. So really good guys in full point PPR, I'm expecting, and you know, either quarterback can throw those balls all day with their noodle lefty arms. Dulcich goes to Milky Wick, so he gets his 4th tight end. So looks like 4 tight end is alive and well, pretty early too. We still have a single tight end drafter, only Freiermuth, so we'll see how Ray's closes out his room here. Pretty ugly start. I'm guessing he probably can use a Terrence Ferguson in that room. All right, so Vidal goes, so perfect. We do get Sean Tucker as our running back 6, like that, on this team. Mitchell, Corey Krosky-Merritt, Harvey, Swift, and James Cook. Perfectly fine room. Not quite as strong as we typically build, but you know, that's what happens when you have Bowers early. And also, we took a pretty good tight end 2 in Pitts. Also grabbed Tyson in the 6th round there. But yeah, feels good. Like I said, we'll see what Atlanta guy comes back to us here. I'll probably, So I guess I have to make a decision on which one I like more. I'm probably going to go lean Penix. I just think he has probably the best chance to play week 17 in my mind. So that is how I will lean. I think Tua probably has the best chance of starting out the year. We really don't care about that, but I think decent chance that Tua doesn't play great. And I think Penix showed enough last year to warrant, you know, getting the nod when he's healthy. So whenever that is. That's probably not going to be week 1, but by like middle of the season should be getting the nod there. He was fine. I mean, Penix was fine. He kind of flamed out a little bit towards the end of the year, obviously, but got hurt. But had some decent games mixed in with some bad ones. We all remember this 30-0 Carolina beatdown in week 3. It was not a good game for any Falcon player there, but Tua had his share of ugly performances as well. So, all right. So Rays does not take Ferguson. He takes probably the lowest of lowest floor ceiling guys of Evan Ingram. Pretty gross room he's building here. Did not listen to us and take Ferguson. So Sweeney was able to get Ferguson all the way at 215. So he's lucky we already had a strong tight end room. Because I normally do not let Ferguson fall that far. Wow, we got a LeQuint Allen sighting to Durr. So Tua goes to Hare, so don't even have to make a decision, but that was the guy that we didn't want anyway, so thank you, Mr. Hare. Can't imagine Penix would be picked before us here. Where is... Yeah, because Drake London is in the 12-13 drafter, Milky Weeky, so I think the plan is going to be Penix and then probably Jacoby Lane. Could also do Caleb Douglas as a Miami piece with Cook. Do have a lot more Douglas early on, so maybe want to differentiate with a little bit of Lane here. Baltimore does play Cleveland, which corresponds to Judy. They don't play... I don't have any Cincinnati players. Don't have any Pittsburgh players. So I guess Caleb Douglas does correlate more for me. But like I said, I don't want to have like a bajillion % of Caleb Douglas either. I already have he's my highest exposed guy right now. So do want to smooth that out a little bit. We'll see what Dirty Martini does. He goes with Brazel. So we'll lock up our quarterback 3. First share of Michael Penix Jr. We got a double stack. Zachariah Branch, Kyle Pitts, and we have a run back of Jordan Tyson. So I like that a lot. Plan worked out perfectly. Makes the Otten pick feel a little better because would have felt bad if I missed out on Branch, Tucker, and Penix. For Cade Otton because we didn't really want Cade Otton necessarily, but it was kind of just there to fit the stack and kind of just be a guy as a third tight end. Kendrick Bourne. All right, so are there any other receivers that make sense? Not really. We're just going to go ahead and grab Lane. Like I said, we have a lot. I mean, Caleb Douglas fits as well, but just don't want the same guy every time in the last round. I think Lane and Caleb Douglas are very similar bets. both undrafted, or typically undrafted, but could easily kind of work their way into targets, and similar players, kind of down the field type guys. Douglas, you're hoping can beat out Tutu Atwell, maybe be like a Christian Watson light type bet. And Lane, you're hoping beats out, or Rashad Bateman suffers another injury as usual. They're kind of competing for the same role there, but I think it's a valuable role in with Lamar. I know the new defensive or offensive coordinator in Baltimore has seen him speak about how he wants to do a lot more play action this year. So do you like that for Lamar and Henry skill set? Running the ball a lot, play action off of that. Lane or Bateman should be the guy kind of, targeted more down the field. Surratt and Mark Andrews kind of shorter A-dots on them. So, yeah, Lane is a good guy. Like I said, I like to bet on guys who are just mainly going undrafted at this point with upside. He fits the mold. Have Mason Taylor. So Rays, he did end up with 4 tight ends. He got Firemuth, Ingram, Cole Kmet, and Mason Taylor. I don't think I could have built a tight end room with less upside if I tried. But he did draft 4 guys. And Dawson Knox as a 4th tight end for Raging Asian. So you can see why we like to draft tight end on the early side. Also, just build nice tight end rooms like we have here. Let's go ahead and recap our team. We got James Cook, Brock Bowers, Devonta Smith, Garrett Wilson, DeAndre Swift, Jordan Tyson, RJ Harvey, Trevor Lawrence, Kyle Pitts, Corey Krosky-Merritt, Baker Mayfield, Jalen McMillan, Travis Hunter, Keaton Mitchell, Jerry Jeudy, Kate Otten, Zachariah Branch, Sean Tucker, Michael Penix, and Jacoby, we say his name wrong, Lane. So yeah, very good team. 3-6-8-3. Particularly strong at tight end. Don't normally draft 6 running backs, but did feel the need to here since we, didn't start off quite as strong. Taking Bowers, taking Wilson and Smith there. Swift and Harvey as running back 2 and 3 can pan out fine, but did want to reach on JCM a little bit. Do like the correlation with Lawrence. Upside, potentially could just be the guy in Washington. Keaton Mitchell I like on DraftKings specifically. Just receiving game. Has upside. Contingent upside. And just probably will get his share of package touches every game in, under Mike McDaniel. And then Sean Tucker, our favorite cap of the room type contingent running back, pairs with our Tampa guys as well. So a lot of good playoff correlation mixed in there, and just a good, solid, balanced team. So, all right, well, 2 good drafts on DraftKings. We're going to end the stream there. Appreciate anyone who may be watching or, watching this back afterwards. Probably be back tomorrow with some underdog drafts.